From cooking in her grandmother's kitchen to starting her own production company, Amy Currie has done it all. With roots in the media industry as a food writer, Amy channeled her passion for the culinary arts into her own projects. She began with a cookbook, Memoirs of a Home Cook, that laced heartfelt and funny personal stories with mouth-watering recipes. Now, as a co-founder of Hot Dish Productions, Amy has extended her reach to various projects, ranging from podcasting to working with celebrity chefs on the Food Network. Amy has even flexed her food stylist skills on her Instagram account, where she shares recipes and food stories from her unique point of view. Please welcome James Beard Award winner, Amy Currie.
Hi, thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. It's always nice to hear people talk about you, Mike, because I don't think of myself as glowingly as you explained to me.
No, we're super excited to dive into your work. And actually, let's start with your first big project, Memoirs of a Home Cook. You used personal stories to illustrate recipes. So how has your upbringing influenced that food-focused career path?
Well, I love to eat, and I've always had a curiosity for food because I think that, you know, sitting around the table and eating with friends and family and people that you love is such a wonderful thing. So I learned from my grandmother, my nanny, and she just taught me everything she knew about cooking, and I was hooked from a very young age.
What inspired you to take that passion for food into creating food media content?
You know, I think it's really important to follow what you love to do, because if you love what you're doing professionally, then it's a joy every day. That's really important when you're doing something creatively. If you're not into it, then it shows. So I just felt like I had no option but to do food media because it's something that I love so much. I love creating delicious tasting food and then making it look good.
You definitely do make it look good on your Instagram. You have such a unique point of view when it comes to food. How do you separate yourself from the pack when there's so much food content online?
Such a great question. There is a ton of food content online, but I think if you're good at what you do, then you sort of put your blinders on and you just go for it. You know, I don't compare myself to my competition or anything. I just do what I love, and it shows. And that's how I kind of separate myself from everybody else.
Speaking of going for it, looking at your background with food styling, our production team took the leap and tried our own hand at it with this donut tower. Looking at what we have here, do you have any tips for making food look good on screen?
Yes. I think your donut tower looks great.
Thank you.
I love that. I feel like the fresher the ingredients, the better they're going to look. You don't want your food sitting around too much, or it's going to look like it's old. So in French, it's called à la minute. You want it to, you know, be cooked and then styled right away. And the other thing that I always try and do when I'm styling food is to capture the experience. So, you know, you want to look at a photo and you want to just wish you could just stick your hand right into that picture and grab one of those donuts. You did a great job styling that, because I took one look at that and I wanted the donut with the strawberry frosting on it.
You know, that one's on my napkin, but we'll airmail that to you soon. So beyond just making the food look good, you also tell stories through your recipes. Why do you think it's important to incorporate storytelling into food?
Well, everything is about storytelling, right? Everything in life. What I found working with so many chefs is they all have stories too. You know, if you go to a restaurant and the chef is back in the kitchen cooking, you can be pretty sure that the recipes that they are making back there and serving all have stories behind them.
Can you tell us a little bit more about your company, Hot Dish Productions?
I would absolutely love to. So I have about 10, 15 years of experience producing food media, and I've worked all over the place, and I just felt like I could do it better. And so I decided to launch my own business. My partner is my creative partner from when I worked at a company called Pana Cooking, and he's from North Dakota, where there's something called a hot dish. It's an upper Midwest dish that is, you're gonna laugh, but it's ground beef and cheese and canned vegetables that are all mixed together and put in a big casserole, and then they're topped with tater tots and baked. And it's sort of like an all-in-one dish, you know. So we named our company Hot Dish because that's also a little bit like us. You know, we can, between the two of us, we're a full service culinary production company and we do it all. We're just small and scrappy, and we do everything from food commercials to editorial. We work for a lot of streaming platforms. We develop recipes, we put together shows, and then we do all the editing. So we're like a hot dish production company, literally and figuratively.
That's really cool to hear that your name has such a distinct origin. I know I'm kind of excited to try a hot dish. I've never tried that before.
I've always wanted to make my own version of hot dish. I'm from Philadelphia, so I've always thought I want to do like a Philly cheesesteak hot dish.
Ooh,
and I think
yeah.
that would be really good.
That does sound good.
So stay tuned. I might Instagram it.
So
Yeah.
with this hot dish, you know, COVID has opened up the home cook to a lot of new recipes and methods. How do you think that this new interest in creating new foods will affect the food media production wing?
I think that trend is here to stay. If you look on online media platforms like YouTube and TikTok and Instagram stories, everybody's making their own version of a cooking show. And it's great because, you know, it's not just limited to the big, you know, Hulus and Netflixes of the world.
Now,
Yeah.
one last question to wrap things up. You mentioned that you've worked on the Food Network with a lot of celebrity chefs like Bobby Flay and Guy Fieri, and we are wondering, who was your favorite one to work with?
That's a really good question. I love them all. Every single celebrity chef that I've ever worked with is wonderful. I have to say my favorite is probably Molly Yeh from Girl Meets Farm. She's awesome. I don't know if you're familiar with her show, but she puts sprinkles on everything, which is really fun.
Nice.
And she's got a huge sprinkle collection. So it's really fun to work with her because there's always something like new and different that she puts into all of her cooking.
Well, I think she'd also be a fan of our very sprinkly donut tower today.
She would love it. She would totally love it.
Thanks for joining us today, Amy, and sharing your stories.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure to be here.
Of course. Check out our Instagram at Amy D. Currie for live cooking demonstrations, full recipes, and the latest from Hot Dish Productions. Join us next time for the next edition of One on One.